So the start of the third Perek of kidushin. So you go tell your friend, Dafka, your friend, go and mekadesh me this woman, and your friend went and he kadeshed for himself. It's called mekudeshes l'sheni. So your friend then marries her for her. So Gemara says, Tana, Masha min hagramos. So the fact that the second guy, the shaliach, ended up marrying this girl who you asked to marry you, it worked, but he is minhag ba ramayos. So on Nun Testament Aleph, so Rabin Chasida Azal Kedushe le Isia le Bare. So his son asked his father to be a shaliach to mekadesh a wife for him. Toisus at the top says he didn't ask him beferush. He just suggested it. His father this is just the idea, and his father was silent, so he makabeled it because you can't make your father a shaliach. Kad shelenafshe. So his father then mekadesh his woman for himself and not for his son. V'atanya masha soisei elishenahag bo min hagramo. So why was he acting like a ramai? Lo yahava nale. So they would not give her to him. So Rashi, lo rotzu letna letzorach bano. The family seemingly didn't want to give to the son, but seemingly the father was good enough, but the son wasn't. So there's some good food for therapy sessions there for the son. He just wasn't good enough. So even though, he said he should have gone and tell him, Rashi lo min hagramos. So in order to not be a ramai, go back and say, listen, they don't accept you, but I'm going to go marry for myself, but she didn't accept you, so there's nothing you can do about it. Lo yeheve adahachi savar adahachi vahachi ate inishachrina makadashlo. So it says that someone else might come. So he didn't have time to go back and tell his son. Somebody else would have been kaddish him in the meantime. You hear the Meforshim ask on from the Gemara that says Bas Ploni to Bas Ploni. So this is your you already have the shidduch has been koveid from Lamala, so therefore how could someone else join in? This comes up a few times in kidushin, this question. The simplest answer here is the Gemara says that's zivuk rishon, that's zivuk sheni, whatever those words mean. The simplest understanding of that is your first marriage, your second marriage. And since here the father seemingly already had a first marriage since he had a son, so therefore this is zivuk sheni for him, b'pashtos, and therefore someone else can jump in there, or the terutzim. Next case, Rav Chana Yahav Lezuzi Lerav. So Rav, they take out one of the bars here. He gave money to Rav and said, "Go buy for me this karka." So Rav went and he bought the money for himself, probably from his own money. But again, Ayin Sham. So now we're expanding this idea that basically anytime that some guy asks you to do something, you just do it for yourself. So it works in din, but you're a ramai. So the teretz here is ba'aga da'amle havele. So Rashi ba'aga da'amle bikashel bale zoros. There were strong people in their hayisa. V'lo yenichu lekol adam leknot karka etzlam. They wouldn't let anybody buy land there, and therefore they wouldn't give land. They wouldn't sell to Rabbi Bar Chana, but they would sell land to Rav. So it would be like a co-op in New York City where only some people are allowed to buy there. So to Rav nahagi bei kovod, Rabbi Bar Chana lo nahagi bei kovod. So they would allow Rav to buy there or not. Rabbi Bar Chana iboy leileu, he should hold him. Savar adachachi v'hachadi ineshachrina zavinle. So in between, he would have found someone else to buy it, so therefore he's got to jump on it now, so therefore he can't go back and tell him. So that leads it into this. That's the run-up to the key sugya here, which is Rav Gidl hay mehapek bahahu ara. So Rav Gidl he was, and what exactly does this mean? Haya mehapek. He is. I think our scroll translated it as he's negotiating. Is that he's making some efforts to buy this land. Obviously, he hasn't bought it, but he's in the process of buying it. Again, what does it mean in the process of buying it? It could be he has an agreement with the seller, and they're just going through legals, but they haven't signed the contract yet. Or he's getting information about the land, or he is, in negotiations. Azul Rebbe Abba Zavna. So Rebbe Abba came and he just bought it. He just straight out just bought it. So what's the problem there? We have two buyers for the land, and Rebbe Abba bought it, and Rebbe Zera didn't. And if if Rav Giddel if he was already at the beginning, why didn't he just finish the sale? What exactly is going on here? Also, Rav Giddel kablei le Rebbe Zera. So he complained. Rav Giddel complained to Rebbe Zera of what Rebbe Abba did. So Abba Rebbe Zera v'kablei le Rav Yitzchak. So Rebbe Zera didn't do anything about it. He just moaned to Rebbe Yitzchak. So here you see this, what they would call lashon hara. You're allowed to tell people lashon hara, whether it's for toeles or whatever it is. Here you can just tell people the bad things that people did. Amar lei hamte machiyala etzlenu leregel. So wait until Rebbe Abba comes to us for the regel. Kisalek, when he came up Ashkeche, he found him. Amar lei. So now, Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka says to Rabbi Ada, so ani mehapek beharra. So you have a poor person who, again, this mehapek, he is making an effort to get this harara. The harara, what comes up in the early pages of Bava Kama, which is like this pitta, which you kind of cook straight on the coals, which is like this a cake or a pitta, a coal pitta. So here Kabbalah, so Kabbalah leia sipur divrei tza'ako leRebbe Zera. He gives over the story leregel k'shedorshin behilchos haregel hayim makabel pnei harav. So in the drushes of the regel, he would come up, and therefore he would come to us to see his Rebbe. So he's making some type of effort in order to be zeicha in this pitta, in this bread. So Rashi here says min ha hefker. So it's a hefker bread. So why doesn't he just pick it up? Again, what exactly is going on here? That the ani is trying to get bread from hefker. Oh, sheyitnenu lo bal habayis, or the bal habayis has it, and he's trying to get the bal habayis to give it to him. So you have this ani who is making efforts to get this bread, and this other one comes and takes it from him. It seems he didn't take it from him; he took it instead of him. So if it's from hefker, he got the hefker before the ani. So again, why didn't the ani just get it straight out? So a comparable case would be, let's say you're driving, down the street. Let's say you're on the left side of the road, and you see someone on the right side of the road who is indicating into a car parking spot. So they're waiting for the traffic on your side of the road. So they're there. They're waiting for the hefker car parking spot, and they just can't. They just don't have. They're just waiting to get in there, but they can't go in right now. And they've already put their indicator on. It's like they're clearly got their mind on this, and they're clearly chasing this car parking spot. And then because you're in that lane, you're like, oh, I'm going to take that car parking spot, and you turn before they have a chance. That would be a case of the ani is trying to get it from hefker, and then the rich person comes and takes it instead of them. What's the din of the person who takes it from him? Amarle Nikra Rasha. He's called a Rasha. Now again, this is different to what we've had before, because everything before we've had that it is what's done is done, but you called it a Ramai. Here we called a Rasha, you're not called a Ramai. I think the Rambam says that you go to Shul and you machriz on this person that he's a Rasha. You say, oh, this guy's a Rasha. Tell everyone he's a Rasha. He took my car parking spot. So that's how Rebbe Abba answers this case of the mehapek beharra, and this is going to be a sugya in our in Bava Basra. This idea of mehapek beharra. Here it is. So nikra rasha sheyored l'chayich avero. Kind of strong words here. So again, if you take someone's car parking spot, seemingly that doesn't this case doesn't apply because you came down to into the life of your friend, which as we get into the sugi, we'll have to see what's that talking about. But you're entering into his parnasa, where he's getting his parnasa from, how he's making a living, and you're interfering with that. So velamar my taima avid hachi. So he's saying that you did this. So when you bought the land, when Rav Gidl was trying to buy the land, so therefore you did the same thing, and you're a Rasha by your own word. So therefore, why did you do this? Amar lo have a yadana. I didn't know. Seemingly, so Rav Gidl mitasekba. He didn't know that Rav Gidl was trying to buy it. And he saw something for sale, and he's like, how much is it? Okay, here you go. Maybe Rav Gidl was trying to negotiate a smaller price, or he was trying to get some engineering in or something. But seemingly he had no idea what was going on. He bought it, and even though he didn't know, still seemingly he's called the Rasha. So hashtanami nisev nale mar. So now also you should give it to him. And there's a machlokas in the Rishonim as to whether this is he's forced to give it to him. If he's a nikra Rasha, is he forced to sell it to him? Is he forced to give it to him? Or he can do what he wants. So Amar le zevuni lo mizavine. I'm not going to sell it. La da'ara kamesi hi velo mistama milta. So Rashi da'ara kamesi zuhi rishayne shelakachti ma'olam. It's the first karka that I've bought. Eina siman tov sheim kor adam mekachal rishon. So it's not good that he should buy the first. And again, the Rishonim say here that, like back in the day, they would buy land as a generational asset, and then people don't sell their land. So things that you buy and you sell, like whatever. Again, today people like go up the housing ladder and downsize on the ladder, and it's not like they buy a house and then the grandchildren live there 3 generations later. It's like you buy a house, and if you get a good price, you sell and move somewhere else, and that's kind of what happens. So this idea doesn't really apply now, but it did then. So therefore, because of this simon, it's eno simon tov. Because of it wasn't a simon tov, he wouldn't do it. Now, seemingly, this is a naita that it wasn't a din. If the base din can force him to sell it, who cares if it's a simon ra or simon tov? It doesn't make any difference. That's the din, and it's like well, you have to pay the guy for breaking his nose. Well, it's a simon ra for me to pay for that type of stuff, so I'm just not going to do it. So clearly here. Or seemingly clearly, there's no actual din to actually pay it back. Boy b'matana nishkele. So if he wants, this is what we're at. If he wants, he can take it as a present. So what's this boy? If he wants, it's seemingly because there's no din here. This is all midas chasidus, and they told him midas chasidus even now. So now we're telling you this is what happened. So again, Rav Gidl seems to. Again, why can't he just get any other land? Like, why is this so important to Rav Gidl? So seemingly there's some type of kesher between Rav Gidl and this land that he can't get it elsewhere. Whereas for Rabbi Abba, he can. It's just business or a house, whatever. He can buy that somewhere else. So just give it to him as a present. So Rav Gidl lo nachitale. So Rav Gidl wouldn't take it. If you hate presents, you will live. So he wouldn't take a present of it. So seemingly he wasn't that destitute. Rabbi Abba lo nachisle mishum de mehapek ba Rav Gidl, but Rabbi Abba again lechumra he wouldn't go down to the land because he found out that Rav Gidl was trying to get it. So seemingly no one's happy. Lo mar nachisle umitzkara ar arba the Rabbanan. It was called the land of the Rabbanan. Rashi hefker letamidim. So basically, nothing was being done with the land. So the Rabbanan used to go there and make a base midrash out of it because nobody was asserting their rights of the Baal. Now, the idea of the ani mehapek beharra is the ikar of what we're looking at the sugya. So Tosfot says Perek becomes the Mairi beharra shel hefker. That's Rashi says it's 2 ways. It's chara shel hefker, or he wants the balabais to give it to him. There's a chuspa mehapek. Oh, shenetna lo bal habayis. So the netzina from the balabais means the balabais owns it. So it's also Meir Beharra Shel Hefker. So Tosfos has a kasha on that. Mahadatan b'shnai moichsin. So in the Bava Metzia, Ra es a Metzia. If someone says a Metzia and he falls upon it, that he threw his talus on it, and B comes and B took it, it's B's. So even though that there was the person who was trying to get the Metzia, and he threw his code on it, so that's clearly mehapek. He's making an effort in order to get it. How can B get it? So a simple teretz here would be, well, B gets it in din, and B's called a rasha. But then from here, people say that Tosfos holds that if you're called a rasha, you lose it in din. You have to give it back in din. So therefore, how can B hold this? Also, you can answer for Rashi that Rashi only holds of the din of ani mehapek beharra, that it's the poor person, and maybe the first person here isn't a poor person. We can have the kamar hasam mi shaliket miktzis apeya. So here now the peya is for the poor people, so therefore here it is an ani. So he took some of the peya uper shaleto aleya, and he put his talus on the rest of it. So you're going to put in your talus on things is not a kinyan. Since it's not a kinyan, it didn't work. So he made a kinyan on the bit of the peya, and then he tried to make this kinyan talus on the rest of the peya. That kinyan doesn't work. So you remove him from the peya that he put his cloak on. So again, this is Tosfos kasha that both of these cases we see that he is trying to get these things. Now, the second case is clearly an oni because he's the peya, so we can't give that answer. He's not an oni. And also the lashon here, seems to be a din lechetchila of the base din. So therefore, we can't have the he's nikra rasha. That the chorah here, this lashon is that he's not a nikra rasha because this is the din lechetchila is that you take it away from A and you give it to other people. And some of the terutzim are because their other aniyim are trying to get it, and therefore the other aniyim are trying to get it from an ani. It's only a rasha it's only an ashir, a rich person that's called a rasha, but not an ani. That's another teretz you can give here. But based on all this, Amar Rabbeinu Tam, the isra mehapek de naket haka lo shayach ela davka ksheroitza ani laharviach beschirus or keroitza leknot davar echad. So Tosfos is giving a gather. So again, he's saying, what is this whole din of mehapek? The mehapek beharra, the Rashi says it's from Hefker, doesn't work. It's not true. Rabbeinu Tam says that this whole din of when you call the rasha, it's only when the poor person is trying to harviach, he's trying to make money by getting a job, or when he wants to buy one specific thing, and his friend comes and he gets in there first, and he konis it for himself. Have a doimit to Rav Gidl, and therefore that case is like Rav Gidl. Mishum hachi kamar to nikra rasha. This is why he's called a rasha. Why is he called a rasha? Ki lama machzir azot shetarach ba'chaver. Why are you trying to buy this that your friend was putting the effort? Your friend was already involved in trying to buy it. Why are you just jumping ahead of him and wasting his time on it? Yelech v'ishtacher b'mokem acher. Just go and make your money elsewhere. Go buy something else. Go. So if the ani is trying to hire him out to someone, don't you go hire out to him. Go to someone else and hire yourself out to them. Or if he wants to buy this thing, go buy that thing elsewhere. So therefore, where it's so again, go make your money elsewhere. So therefore, anywhere where there is no other place to go make your money. If it's hefker, then there's no isser because you can't go pick up other hefker. So if I'm not zoiche in the hefker before the ani, I have nowhere else to be zoiche from. It's only in a case where you can be zoiche somewhere else. To this idea, mahai de perek blo yachbor. This is the case in Bava Basra, which we'll see. So we're only going to touch on it here and go deeper next time. The kamar hasa marchikan min a dag kamolo ritzes a dag. That if you have the one fisherman has his nets out, you have to go all the way as far as the fish go as far as the fish can see. You have to go that far away to put your nets out. Afal pisha hu shel hefker. Even though the dag is shel hefker, and why can't I come and get your fish, get your hefker? Because even though you're mehapek beharra, that you're the one, you put your nets out, so you're clearly showing that you're trying to get the fish. I can go elsewhere and get fish. So therefore, but this is why do I have to go elsewhere to get the fish? This fish is hefker. Again, this is what we're trying to get a good definition of. What does this mean? That you're coming down into his parnasa. Kihahi de kamar hasam hayabar mavoa de uki recha beta bar mavoy uki behade matzi la kulve aleya the kamar lay the kapaska lachayusi. So there, the Rav Huna says that you cannot open if someone has a mill in the town, and then you open up a mill. You can stop the other guy open up a mill beside you, which is the sugi which we're getting into. And again, this Gemara will get into further, but basically here, because he can say to you that you are stopping my parnasa. Now, seemingly over there in that Gemara, we don't poskin like Rav Huna there. So Tosfos is bringing this here in Kedushin, seemingly as a kasha. So seemingly Tosfos is poskin like that. We'll have to see how that all fits. Voda Omer Rabbeinu Meir Aviv Shel Rabbeinu Tam. So again, this is Rashi's son-in-law, Rabbeinu Meir, that married his daughter, and then he's the father of Rabbeinu Tam. This is another peshat in the fish. Damari b'dagmeis. This is like a what's it called? Bait. They would use dead fish as bait. So they would the fishermen would put in their nets a dead fish, and the fish would gather around there that specific fish, the dead fish, and Kevin says that Perush Mitsudo Techila, and even though so he went first, and through that Maisa that he did, he gathers them around him. Vadai, if his friend goes there, Keilu Goizalo. So there Tosfos says Keilu, he steals from him. The Ketsoy says he is stealing from him, because when you stick out your nets, that's called a hamshach, even though you didn't moishach it yourself. Causing the fish to come is a hamshacha. Nitzivas and others argue on him, say it's not a hamshacha. But anyway, Tosfos says it's keilu goizulos. It's nothing to do with mehapek beharra. It's that you're stealing from him. It's that you're not coming from hefker. It's like you're just stealing from him because he's done everything except for close his nets. The fish could be even in the nets and swim out of his nets into your nets, or once they see the fish, they will come there. So it's like you're geirim his fish to come to you. And he can say to him that you're able to do this in a different place, which falls back into Tosfos' first peshat. That's not really hefker, and therefore just go do it elsewhere. So this is just the end that Tosfos gives a case here. This appears to Rav Yitzchak she'oser the melamed. You have a teacher of children, lahashkir atzmo, to rent out himself to the balabais, and he has another melamed there with him in his house. All the time that the melamed in his house, shemiacher. So once he has someone in his house teaching his kids, you can't then go and rent yourself out there because you already have another worker there. So the melamed should go to a different place to get a job. If the balabais doesn't say to him that I don't want to keep the first guy anymore, but if the balabais is renting or paying one melamed, a different balabais can also pay and get that melamed to work for him, and he is not able to say the first balabais go and get a different melamed, because the nichale ein rotzini, because he can say it in the second balabais who also wants the same melamed. He can say, I want this guy because it appears to me that he will teach my son well rather than any other melamed. That's just a case of bringing out that don't go work in the same place as someone else, but one worker can go in two different places. But key points here, which we're going to need, we go back to Bava Basra, is the pshat here of the dagim and the pshat here of the mehapek beharra.